screamed out in pain as tears rolled down my cheekbones. Gosh, she's so pathetic, and she doesn't deserve to be the queen of this kingdom. On my 18th year birthday that I have been anticipating for the longest time now turned my life around in an unexpected way. Throughout the previous night, I was restless because of the excitement as I couldn't wait to celebrate my special day with the guy that I truly cared about. Joy filled my heart even more when I remembered that it would also be the day I would be introduced to his family. I wasn't going to deny the fact that anxiety was slowly eating me up because we were from different ranks. My mate and boyfriend, Zachary, was the Alpha King and I was an Omega. I always considered myself lucky because it was the biggest gift that the goddess gave me. It was possible that she was trying to cover up for the pain and suffering that I experienced from my childhood till now. The hatred and the bullying because I was weak, it got worse when I started dating Zach because he was every she-wolf's dream guy, but the constant reassurance from his side that he loved me, it made me feel safe and secured. At first, I wasn't comfortable because why would a guy like him want me? He could have easily rejected me and chosen to be with the hottest chick in my school or even in the werewolf kingdom, but he didn't. For the past 3 years that we have been together, I was able to gain trust and we were about to take the next step in our relationship. Hopefully, his family would accept a frail Omega into their lives. I was on my way to Royal Blood Pack, so I could meet Zach when some she-wolves came out of nowhere to block my path. There were 3 of them, and the leader had a bitchy face with blonde hair and brown almond eyes. If I had strength, I would have fought back because I already knew what this was all about. It was frustrating that they never got tired of picking on me over a boy that had no interest in them. She sauntered towards me with her hands on her hips like a mug. "Where exactly are you heading to?" It was clearly none of her business, but she chose to interrogate me like she was my mother or part of the police department. She instantly narrowed her eyes at me. "What did you say? Huh? Did I just say my thoughts out loud?" I opened my mouth to speak, but words failed to come out, and my heart was racing so fast at this point, it was embarrassing that they could hear it to show how scared I was of them. She turned back to look at her colleagues before they burst into hearty laughter. "Just look at her, shaking like a fish and we haven't touched her yet." She began walking around me in a circle before yelling at me, causing me to flinch. "I asked you a question, darn it. Where are you going?" "Probably to see King Zachary." The shorter one with auburn hair and brown eyes mimicked the tone of my voice. "Zachy boo." The last one moaned out to mock me even more. "I don't want to believe what they are saying is the truth. Haven't I warned you to stay away from him? You aren't his type, for goodness sake. Find someone from your rank to be with and free the Alpha King from the love spell that you case upon him, witch." She accused me. That wasn't the case at all because we genuinely loved each other. I don't even know what he sees in her. She must really used a love portion on him because he would clearly not be with her if he was in his right state of mind, the other added in support. "I know, right? Have you taken a look at yourself in the mirror to know that if you were in someone else's shoes, you would never date yourself? It's a pity that the great and powerful Alpha King has to settle for less. Leave him alone and be with the rest of your types. You are nothing but a burden to him because you are weak." An Alpha King dating an Omega? That's truly sick and doesn't make any sense. "I don't even care. Stay the hell away from my man or else this silly face of yours that you think is the charm will be disfigured. You truly need to put in your place, witch," the leader remarked before pulling my hair with force to the ground. I screamed out in pain as tears rolled down my cheekbones. Gosh, she's so pathetic, and she doesn't deserve to be the queen of this kingdom. Over my dead body would such happen, it would be a curse. She-wolves like us deserves King Zachary, not you. If you decide to be stubborn and stay with him. Trust me, girl, happiness will be the last thing on your list for you to experience," she added. From the tone of her voice, she sounded truly bitter and jealous, but she was never going to have him because I knew that he would choose me over and over again. Our love didn't seem real to the rest of them, but we were certain about it. Before I could utter a word in my defense, she poured dirty water from a bucket on my hair and they burst into laughter again. I froze on the spot, wondering if all this was truly happening on my birthday. This is just a warning. Next time I won't have mercy on you. Let's go, girls. She stinks already, the leader asserted before they abandoned me. As soon as they left, my spirit weakened because I was tired of bullying. My life was basically a nightmare, and it was only my mate who made it easier for me to live. It was the reason why I was scared of losing him. I was quite aware of the fact that the bullying wouldn't stop if I chickened out and broke up with him for them. Not even my beta family who adopted me wanted me. They disliked me, and I prayed to the goddess every night that I would not suffer such maltreatment from the royal family. I had no choice but to return home to change since I was drenched. I quickly rushed to the house, so I wouldn't keep Zach waiting for long. The house was quiet when I got there, and it seemed that my parents weren't around. The sound that could be heard was my sister, Cassie, moaning. I shook my head and chuckled because she had the opportunity to finally get a private tryst, but she needed to keep her voice down a little because it wouldn't be funny if an elder happens to hear her. I honestly cared less about it as I headed to my room, but instantly halted in my steps when I heard a familiar masculine voice that I didn't want to believe was real. My mind started racing a mile a minute as I retreated in my steps back to the front of her room door, which was slightly opened. My heart was pounding out of my chest at this point, and I hesitated before opening my eyes to see who it was. My world literally crumbled as my eyes widened in shock that my suspicions were right. He grabbed her waist and leaned closer to her so he could whisper into her ears, "You have been a good girl for Daddy, and he's going to lead you to the peak of bliss." Zach, she moaned out, even louder. My feet were glued to the ground as I couldn't move. I was waiting for someone to pinch me back to reality because it couldn't be possible. He sank into her most intimate secret space slowly, and she let out a gasp in pleasure. "Oh God, you fit so perfectly, so warm and soft." He curved her back to his liking before moving with a rough, urgent rhythm against her. Moans and low groans hung thick in the air, and I was still stuck in my own little world, praying this was all a hallucination. "You make me feel so good," she moaned out while biting her lips. He pulled her hair and groaned out, "Whose most intimate space is this?" "Yours, Daddy," she responded through pants. He slapped her hip, the flesh rippling under his palm, and his smirk widened. "That's my girl." He repositioned her beneath him, their bodies face to face, before leaning in to crush his lips against hers in a hungry kiss. I quietly staggered back in shock, a tight lump swelling in my throat. As if that wasn't enough, he cupped her full breast, his fingers brushing over it gently before his tongue circled the sensitive peak. She gripped the duvet, biting back a moan as her toes curled tight. He moved against her once more, his lips still laving at her breast with hungry intensity, and the sight shattered me into tiny, irreparable pieces. Her sweat-slicked bodies pressed and rubbed against each other as she moaned, "You're carrying me to the stars, Daddy." My relationship with Cassie hasn't been a good one, and I couldn't understand why she would be hostile at times, but I never expected that she would hate me to the point where she would share such an intimate moment with my mate. I thought he loved me. Cheating has been the last thing on my mind from Zach because we have been loyal to each other. Wasn't I enough for him, and why did it have to be my sister of all people? My lips were trembling and my voice sounded shaky when I called out his name. Zach. His eyes shone and he paused to slowly look at me. "Lex." I slowly lifted my finger to point at them as my knees were wobbly like jelly. "You and her." He quickly got out of the bed to wear his clothes while Cassie had no sign of remorse at all on her face. "Babe, I can explain." I didn't stay back to listen to the lies that he was about to spew out. I ran to my room and fell to the ground when I got in. I yanked my hair as I cried out, causing my vision to blur and my breathing became heavy. I managed to get up and sit on my bed while my hands were on my chest as the pain was unbearable. He ran inside the room and knelt in front of me. I avoided his green eyes that held so much deceit in them. I was such a fool to have believed that he would never hurt me. "Lexi, please listen to me." "I am sorry, babe." I shook my head rapidly, not wanting to hear anything at all. "Please, save it." "You deceived me, Zach." "Babe, I didn't. You really need to hear me out. You pushed me away and I had no choice," he explained. Was he being serious right now? "How? I never did." He disagreed. "Yes, you did. Remember that I have always wanted to share our most intimate moment, but you kept declining. I told you that I didn't want to give up my innocence before 18. I I thought you were mature enough to understand, I replied in a low tone. He attempted wiping my tears, but I stopped him. Don't touch me. I was frustrated, babe, but now that you are 18, that means we can finally be fully together, he asserted. I shut my eyes for a second before opening them to stare at him in disbelief. My hearing ability must be malfunctioning or something because he couldn't be that shameless. Are you joking or what? I inquired, just to be sure. He had a blank expression on his face. You don't see me smiling. I am dead serious, babe. We are grown now and I want you so bad. We are mates and we shouldn't keep ourselves away from each other. This was ridiculous. He didn't even give me a chance to object before he reached out for my strap to pull it down. If anybody had told me that someday Zach would cheat on me, I would have ignored them because it was arrant nonsense, talk less of my mate acting shameless after cheating like it was a normal thing to do. It was very difficult to process everything and his actions weren't helping matters either. I was quick to grab his hand so I could stop him, but he directed his focus to the fabric at my hips, fingers hooking to tug it down. Sweat started dripping down my face, profusely with my heart thumping hard against my chest due to panic. Stop it, I ordered him, fighting hard to get his filthy hands off me. He had the nerve to think that I would be so stupid to let him claim the most intimate parts of me after he'd shared himself with Cassie. I won't because you are mine, he deadpanned. His statement made my blood boil and I kicked him out of annoyance. I couldn't belong to somebody who didn't respect me at all. He furrowed his brows at me in anger. What the hell is wrong with you, Alexia? I have already apologized and you turned 18 today. You have no more excuses not to let me have you right now. At this point, I was beginning to think if they had cast a spell on him or something to not consider me important anymore. It seemed like I was nothing but a plaything that he has been waiting for long now, and once he was done, he would dump me. Everything is wrong, okay? I responded with a raised voice, causing him to startle at my boldness. You are the only one seeing it that way. You are overreacting, Lexi. Now, be a good girl and do as Daddy pleases. You are quite aware of the consequences of disobeying my orders, he reminded me. Yeah, right. Of course, he just had to remind me of our rank difference. In the eyes of others, I didn't have the right to complain at all because this relationship was out of pity, but it wasn't. Goddess had chosen us for each other and there had to be a reason. I chose to play the game of oblivion to annoy him further until he would have no desire for my body. I don't remember. Feel free to remind me. He shot me a deadly glare that made me phase a bit. Have you lost your mind? You are my mate, and if you chose to prove stubborn, you would be locked up in the silver jail. Do you not want to meet my family any longer? They won't accept an Omega who doesn't have respect for the Alpha King. As if I cared about that right now. I chose to be civil with this. Zachary, I have a question for you. Shoot, he replied in a cold tone like he wasn't up for the drama that I was about to unfold. If roles were reversed and you caught me cheating, how would you feel? My question triggered him as a frown appeared on his face. What sort of question is that? You have no right to do such because you are a weak Omega. Nobody would even want to be with you, but I chose to love and pamper you for 3 good years. I got nothing from it except the side comments that I had to settle for less. Hearing such heartbreaking words from outsiders was one thing, but from him directly, the pain was unbearable. So, the whole time he had been ashamed of me. What does that mean, Zach? It means that I dated you out of pity. If I decided to reject you, obviously you would be weaker than usual. It would be close to being useless in your pack. You should be grateful to me that I made you the spotlight in this kingdom for years, he fired at me. If I were you, I would ignore what happened between Cassie and I for the healthy benefits of our relationship. If you'd let me draw close to you in the way I'd asked, none of this would have happened. This is all your fault. I mean, I could have easily called any of my slaves to do the job, but I chose you until I noticed how sexy your sister was and I just couldn't resist the temptation in front of me, he added. I just wish that the ground would open and swallow me, or better still, I would stop hearing these words from his mouth. He knew nothing about damage control. With tears in my eyes, I hung my head low as I avoided the image of the guy who hurt me the most. He didn't see anything wrong in his actions and even blamed me for it. He lacked patience because all I wanted was for us to clock 18, introduce me to his family, he would accept me, and then the Luna ceremony would be performed before marking me in bed. He just had to ruin my big day for me, and this was going to haunt me for years to come. I don't want to let you claim me in that intimate way, I deadpanned. He gave me his signature glare, but I cared less because he couldn't force me. It would be a violation, and I was certain that he wouldn't stoop so low. What exactly was I saying? Zach had no shame in rubbing his body all over the mud as long as he could get close to me in that way. You will, he retorted through gritted teeth. My eyes were fixed on the door as I needed to be swift with my movement. The chances of him catching up with me was very high, but I was still going to try to save myself from this situation. The person who had been saving me from danger had chosen to turn his back on me. I quickly got up and ran towards the door when he yanked my hair from the back with force, causing my neck to hurt. This was the second time that my hair was being pulled, and I was surely going to have a headache. Ow, I winced. Where the hell do you think that you are going? He questioned me in anger. Away from a monster like you, I yelled at him. His eyes widened before it turned gold. How dare you raise your voice at the Alpha King? He landed a resounding slap on my cheeks that made me stagger backwards. He marched towards me and balled his fist before punching my face. I couldn't see properly with my right eyes, and it hurt. He didn't stop. He kept throwing punches at me, and I had to block it with my arms until I got weaker and his hands moved to tear away the cloth shielding my most vulnerable self. Help! I screamed at the top of my voice as if anybody actually cared about me. He would be doing them a favor if he killed me. I was the least wanted wolf in this kingdom. Managed to get back on my feet, and I drove my foot toward the tender center of his lower torso, where I knew the blow would cripple him with pain. He gasped in shock before groaning and placing his hands on the center of his pants. Darn it, you witch! He moved back to held the edge of my bedstand as he breathed heavily with murder in his eyes. You are so fucking annoying. He shut his eyes and clenched his jaw as he tried to endure the pain. Never did I imagine that we would ever get to the point of fighting each other. I am still surprised that I survived his punches. Maybe he chose to pity me a little because the Zach that I knew was very strong. Why can't you listen to me? I am the Alpha King and also your mate. You are supposed to be submissive, and if you prove otherwise, I will reject you, he uttered. You won't ever find another like me if I do it. Be smart and do as I desire, he added. Time paused for about a minute as his words echoed in my head, and the sharp pain that struck my chest returned, and I felt suffocated as my nightmares were turning to reality, slowly. I don't want him to reject us, Alexia. The pain will break me, beg him not to. My wolf Blair cried out. I didn't want any of us to go through this, but if I chose to obey his orders, it would be a slap on my face, and he would repeat his mistakes over again by sharing himself with numerous girls because I didn't object to it. Even though I was an Omega, I still knew my worth, and I was not going to settle as the other woman. My wolf needed to understand that he didn't really love us. He's only chasing the fleeting warmth of physical comfort. This was the time to be strong and not vulnerable. I summoned courage and cleared my throat before speaking. You are the Alpha King, which means you can do whatever you like, but I won't let you claim me in that intimate way, not after cheating on me with my sister. It's a disgrace that I am never going to forgive you for. His eyes dropped and he shook his head in disappointment. You have made your decision. Now here's mine. I took in a deep breath and prepared myself for the words that were going to shatter me. His green eyes held no emotions at this point. I, Alpha King Zachary of Royal Blood Pack, reject you, Omega Alexia of Silver Heart Pack, as my mate. He walked out on me after he was done, and I turned to look at his figure with tears in my eyes. Sudden cold overwhelmed me, and I had goosebumps on my arms as I dropped to my knees, trembling. My wolf became silent, and I knew a part of me left with him as there was no urge for me to live anymore. I wrapped my arms around my knees and cried silently. The beautiful memories that we made flooded my mind. It was nothing but a facade that I fell for. My relationship of 3 years just came to an end, and I think my life was going to suffer the same fate because Zach won't just stop this game of his at rejection. There was more to come, for sure. Rejection has always been one invisible scar that I had been trying to avoid, especially in the case of your mate being an alpha or even the Alpha King. Everybody was quite aware of the fact that the words always had power to drain the life out of your wolf. It was already bad that I was frail, but considering the current situation of my wolf, I had no words to describe it. Pain and wimpy were understatement, and I wished that the goddess had not made him my so-called other half if he was going to hurt me in the end. I had to applaud him for playing me. The reassurance and the memories shattered me completely that I couldn't believe it was the same person who chose to hurt me with no sign of remorse at all. I was majorly concerned about my wolf because her silence didn't sit well with me. Blair, how do you feel now? I knew the answer to the question that I asked, and it was really silly, but I still needed to show care to her. Drained, she answered in a low tone that I could barely hear. I am sorry, Blair. I didn't mean to put us through this. Was it a wrong choice? I inquired from her. Even if it was, the time was already late to make amends because Zach would not give me a second chance after refusing his order. Of course not. Why would you think so? You did the right thing, Alexia. I would have been upset if you let him force his claim on your sacred bloom after such disrespect. I never expected this from him. I thought he was different, she told me. No means no, but I guess Zach didn't understand such, she added. I stared at the bruises that he inflicted on my body. It was surely going to take time to heal since I was an Omega. Don't worry, Alexia. We will surely survive this. The pain will go away with time. Please, don't let this affect you. It's his loss. She was trying to comfort me when it was supposed to be the other way. No wolf was ever happy when they got rejected. His words kept ringing in my head of how lonely that I was going to be, and I knew that it was the truth. Aside from him, nobody would want to be with me. I was still deep in my thoughts when my adoptive mother barged into my room with fury written all over her face. She didn't even care to know what happened as she ordered me, "Come out, right now, and deal with the trouble that you have created. I don't just understand why everywhere you go there must be one report or another. Now you have done your worst by stepping on his toes. I made a great mistake by adopting you. I should have chosen another," she deadpanned. Just as expected, Zach was about to deal with me, and I had prepared myself for it. I was the one who was wrong, not the other way around. Nobody was going to stand in my favor, so I had to be there for myself. I stepped out of the room and she trailed behind, mumbling words to herself like she was tired of my existence. As I descended the stairs, I found some young men waiting for me. "Good morning. Save your greetings. We are people from the werewolf court, and Alpha King Zach has lodged a complaint against you for seduction and attack. You must come with us to defend yourself," the leader stated. I didn't protest because there was no point. I quietly obeyed them as we left my pack house and headed towards the court territory where Zach and the judge were waiting for me. I got there in no time, and my heart started racing fast again when I perceived his scent. People were already waiting to hear my side of the story, and he brought witnesses too. Or should I say, Cassie made herself available because she wanted to be the better option. I proceeded to greet the judge and ignore Zach like he wasn't an important werewolf in the kingdom. "Good morning, my lord." Respect was earned and not demanded. He had lost it from me. The judge only nodded his head in response before the questions were thrown at me. Apparently, my ex-mate twisted the story so that things would work in his favor. Nothing of the sort happened, my lord. I never attempted to seduce him. I have guarded my sacred bloom for a while now till I was fully ready to open myself to someone. I would never force myself on a man, I answered. Then explain the attack. Was it that these people couldn't see the marks on my body, or they were deliberately acting blind because it was the Alpha King involved? I didn't attack him, it was self-defense. He tried to violate my sacred bloom after I caught him cheating on me with my sister, Cassie. You can go ahead and ask her, or am I telling a lie, Cassie? I turned to look at her and she didn't reciprocate the action. It's not your job to question her. Alpha King Zach clicked his tongue and shook his head, which drew everybody's attention. Tisk TSK. She always wants to act smart, yet she is bad at it. Spare the judge the lies, Alexia. Here's the truth. I went to her house so I could reject her. She's an Omega and isn't fit for the Luna position in my pack. I wanted her sister, Cassie, because she was actually the daughter of Beta. Unfortunately, Alexia got offended and pulled a psychotic stunt on me by trying to seduce me, and when I made it clear that I had no feelings for her, she proceeded to talk me with objects. The manner in which the lies rolled out of his mouth perfectly made me wonder what else he lied about while we were dating. Zach was indeed a two-faced person, and I was glad that this happened to show his true self, else I would have been stuck in misery forever. The judge diverted his attention back to Cassie. Miss Cassie, is this true? Can you attest to what Alpha King Zach is saying?" She stood and bowed her head. "Yes, my lord." He said nothing but the truth. I saw everything happen with my own eyes. Alexia was so desperate that she wanted to offer her sacred bloom to win him back. The whole guarded bloom thing is a lie because someone who truly values that would never behave like that. I would not be surprised if she secretly cheated on our Alpha King. My so-called family couldn't support him. They weren't my blood after all. I didn't know why I expected much from them. After a session of questions and answers, judgment was served for me. Miss Alexia of Silverheart Pack will spend 2 years in XXXACADEMY, where the spoiled powerful werewolves of her kind belongs. This is my judgment. The innocent were always wrongly accused, and now, my freedom and mate was taken away from me. The smirk on the faces of Zach and Cassie informed me that they were surely going to celebrate their victory today. Later in the night, I was immediately taken to the academy after my luggages was brought from my old home. This will teach you never to mess with the Alpha King again. If you cause more havoc here, your time will surely be increased. The guard told me before dropping me off. Anxiety was eating me up as I stood in front of the big black gate with electric barbed wires on the high fence. Some of the werewolves were staring at me through the bars and their faces weren't nice at all. It was over for me. I gulped down my saliva as the gate slowly opened and I stepped in while mentally kissing my freedom goodbye, because one thing about this place was that, even if you managed to escape through the gate, there was a spell cast on the border that werewolves wouldn't be able to pass until their time had fully expired. We were literally outcasts until we became good again. I was able to locate my room after a strict instruction was given to me by the administrator, and I wasn't prepared for what I saw there. My mouth dropped open when I saw 3 sexy werewolves guys as my roommates. This was a case of too hot to handle. My brain was processing so many things at this point as my feet were fixed to the ground. I couldn't move away from the door and they hadn't noticed my presence yet. I guess I was too petite for them to spot me. It was possible that I was in the wrong room because there was no way that I would be able to cope with these sex gods. I haven't recovered from my trauma and I had to deal with this too. A blonde-haired guy with a towering height of 6 feet 2 stepped out of the bathroom and I gulped my saliva while holding the hem of my shirt because the sight of water dripping down his hot body with a towel wrapped around his waist made me uncomfortable. His rock-hard abs were in display and the muscles. His body was a temptation and also a distraction because I forgot to shut my eyes when I saw him. My attention shifted from him to the one on the bed close to another empty bed which I assumed was mine. My soul almost left my body when I saw him holding a gun with a bottle of wine as well. Could he have murdered someone and wanted to celebrate his victory? Goddess, what sort of confusion is this? I never asked to be here. I wasn't vindicated. As for the third one, who was a brunette, he was busy making out with some girl. The way his hands roamed over her upper body, his touch bold and unyielding, made me look away as flashbacks of Cassie and Zach hit me once again. I was caught between greeting them or slowly retreating in my steps to request for another room because it made no sense to me why I would have 3 sexy male roommates. I preferred girls, or at least 2 guys and 1 girl, so it would be balanced. I wanted to ask my wolf for advice, but then I remembered that she had been through a lot lately and I really didn't want to add to it. I would deal with my own problems and let her heal from the rejection. You are squeezing too hard, stop. You are so fucking horny, Nate, the girl moaned out. The rest just acted as if they weren't in the room at all. Why do you mean, babe? I missed you. Everything about you always has to be rough and possessive, she asserted as she attempted pushing him away. He grabbed his hands and stared into her eyes. You are mine, aren't you? I don't play with what belongs to me. She hesitated before responding to him. This time he spoke through gritted teeth. Jess, I asked you a question. Have you been fucking some other guy? He frowned at him. What rubbish. How can you accuse me of such? You don't owe me, so stop asking me such questions. He was taken aback by her response. His tone became cold and his honey eyes darkened. Use the door. Whatever. She threw a pillow at him as she got up to leave his bed. He grabbed the same pillow and used it to hit her figure, but she dodged and it fell in front of me. Their eyes slowly shone in surprise, except for Mr. Black Hair with the gun, as he never lifted his head to spare me a glance, but knew that I was in the room. I wasn't that much of a beauty to adore, or what? Are you our new roommate? The brunette questioned me in a welcoming tone. I nodded slowly, not uttering a word until he dropped a sarcastic line. Has she lost her ability to speak or what? More like she's dumbfounded by my hotness. The blonde cracked a joke in addition, and they burst into laughter except the one sipping his wine while acting like he wasn't mean to me on the first day. I fought the urge to roll my eyes at them. I would have to be nice since I was the only girl in their midst. I cleared my throat before introducing myself. I am Alexia from Silverheart Pack. Nice to meet you all. Except him. The name suits a sexy lady like you. I am Tristan, Alpha of Dark Moon Pack. The blonde was the first to respond to me. And I am Alpha Nathan of the Lockhart Pack, the brunette told me shortly. They were all alphas and I was an omega. What were the odds? I was beyond shocked, but I didn't want them to see it. They might trample on me. I managed to give them a smile which didn't last because I was yearning to know who Mr. Cold and Mysterious was. May I know who the one with the gun is? I threw the question in the air for any of them to catch. Tristan turned to face him before calling out his name. Harold, his tone was cold. Yeah, our pretty lady here wants to know you, Tristan announced with a smirk plastered on his face. Harold finally chose to stare at me, and damn. I was hypnotized the moment that his alluring, piercing gray orbs met mine. Moon Goddess really took time to create each and every one of these guys, but Harold seemed to be her favorite. From his square head to his chiseled jawline to his pointed nose and pink lips. His eyes were everything. Especially the long lashes, his brows were perfectly arched and the visible Adam apple that made my heart race so fast. There was something that pulled me to him, but I couldn't pin it. I tried to prevent my naughty mind from painting a picture of how he would look shirtless, because he was surely going to have the body of a Greek god. Took a sip of his wine bottle and jumped out of his bed to meet me. With every step that he took, time got slower and I imagined that it was just the two of us in another realm. His scent was intoxicating. His eyes darted from my head to my toes, accessing my body before narrowing them at me again with a curt nod, but still no sign that he was impressed. I am sure you already know my name. I am Alpha Herald of Mystic Shadow Pack. He was right about that one because his pack was known for causing terror. When Tristan first mentioned his name to me, my mind drifted elsewhere, but I wasn't sure if he was the one. I wasn't surprised that he was in this academy considering that he was nothing but trouble. His pack was known for breaking numerous rules and giving my ex-boyfriend massive headache. Zach always complained about him and even tried to have a friendly conversation with him in the name of therapy, but to no avail. He had no choice than to send him here. I never got to see how he looked. It was only his name that was always in the lips of werewolves. Goddess walked in ways that I couldn't understand because I was the roommate to the baddest alpha in town. This wasn't going to make me change for better. If I ever came out of this place, my life won't be the same due to their influence. Avoiding them wasn't an option, but if I kept to myself in a cold manner, they would get the hint that I didn't want them to be friends with me. If only Blair could speak to me. She has been isolating herself ever since they pronounced our judgment. Nice, I replied briefly while avoiding his eyes. I would have to pull myself together. It would give him too much satisfaction if he realizes that I was fumbling for him. He placed both hands in his back pockets and leaned in closely. So what interest do you have in me? Huh? Since you are new here, I can be your tour guide to show you around, he offered with a blank expression. He seemed like he was being forced to communicate with me. In other words, he had a mean look which complemented his face card and made my knees jelly. No, I don't want to stress you. There won't be any need for that, thank you. I rejected politely with a small smile on my lips. He raised both his eyebrows as he responded. All right then, what pack do you belong to? I thought I already answered that question from Tristan and Nathan unless he wasn't paying attention when I introduced myself. He was a werewolf with a hearing disability. How ironic. Silverheart Pack, I answered him while fighting hard to speak through gritted teeth. A reminder of my pack made my heart ache because they never treated me right, but the funny thing out of this was I would always defend them if somebody happened to speak against them. There were still nice people there. They just got influenced by the evil ones. Scoff escaped his throat, and I gave him a raised brow. Out of all the packs in the werewolf kingdom, you chose to be part of that? Pathetic. I furrowed my brows at him. What do you mean by that? I don't care if you find this offensive, but the truth always hurts anyways. "Your pack is a pack of bastards and jerks," he asserted. How dare he insult my pack? His pack was far from pure, but he had the guts to throw shades at mine. I couldn't hold back. I have been fighting my anger since the beginning of my birthday. I guess he was going to be the scapegoat that I would vent all of it on. I placed my hands on my hips and shot him a deadly glare before speaking through gritted teeth. Coming from someone whose pack has no good name to it. Their alpha is currently in XXX Academy until he learns to stop causing trouble everywhere he goes like a plague and put a filter to his mouth. Baby, before insulting others, you should take a look at yours first. Was that a bit harsh? I didn't care. He was the one who started it first. I heard Tristan stifle a laugh, but he put on a straight face when Harold gave him a dirty look. I swear that I heard nothing. I was expecting him to give me a harsher comeback for disrespecting him or even transferring aggression to Tristan, but he only smirked. Was that a signal for me to be scared of him or what? Nathan reminded me of one of the rules to follow. Keep the lights out after midnight if you don't want to be punished. Who's going to punish me if I don't? I inquired. Not that I had a problem with sleeping in the dark, but I just wanted him to make his words clearer. Me? Tristan answered my question with a husky voice that made him attractive. His response made heat erupt low in my belly before he chuckled. I am just joking. The Punisher usually wanders around at night for offenders. It won't be nice if you get punished on the first night of your stay here. I started looking for signs of bruises or scars on their body to check if they had been punished before, but then I remembered that they were alphas with fast healing. All right, I will. I headed towards my bed space and started arranging my things into my wardrobe while they returned to their various activities. By the time that I was done, it was a few minutes to midnight. Nobody needed to remind me before I did what was necessary. As soon as I turned off the lights, my wolf night vision activated, and I regretted why I had such abilities because Tristan literally loosened his towel to reveal a rigid, unyielding contour beneath the fabric, a bold, unapologetic line against his skin. I instantly looked away, but the image kept replaying in my head, as if that wasn't enough. Nathan undressed himself as well. At least, Harold had the courtesy not to do so. I cleared my throat. Guys, you have a female roommate now. So? It doesn't matter, because this is how we live, Tristan responded. My goodness. Nathan agreed with him. You should feel free around us. Due to the fact that I am here, it is going to be hot. You should undress so that you can enjoy more from the AC. I had to be joking. I was certain that Zach deliberately made sure that they assigned this room to me so I would suffer all this. I chuckled nervously as I got up from my bed with the plan to hide in the bathroom till they were asleep. On my way there, I bumped into a hard chest and it turned out to be Harold. Where do you think you are going? I want to use the bathroom, obviously, and you are blocking my way. I deadpanned. Not so fast and smart. You don't want me to see those delicate curves of yours, he remarked. He was wrong. They aren't small, I corrected him. Really? He leaned forward to my ears and whispered, sending chills to run through my body. I will be the judge of that, let me see. The hoarse tone sent a warm, thrumming heat pooling low in my belly, and my breathing grew shallow and ragged until I heard Tristan's voice. It will be more even if you undress, Lexi. I ignored his words and stumbled back away from Harold. If only I knew I would have stayed in that same spot because my eyes shone and squeezed them shut when my butt brushed against a firm, unyielding shape from behind, a sudden jolt that made my muscles tense. This was going to be one hell of a long night.